Everyone says they want peace. Everyone says they want to feel calm, steady, and whole. Yet most people spend their entire lives chasing success, imagining that peace is waiting on the other side of achievement. We tell ourselves that when we finally earn enough money, when we finally gain recognition, when we finally buy the house, the car, the dream, we'll finally feel at ease. But the Stoics, who lived thousands of years ago, saw through this illusion. They taught that peace comes not from success, but from simplicity, because success is fragile. It depends on conditions outside of you, on fortune, on other people, on the rise and fall of circumstances you can't control. Simplicity, on the other hand, is within reach no matter where you are. It comes not from getting more, but from needing less. It comes not from being celebrated, but from being content. It comes not from climbing higher, but from learning how to stand firmly where you are. Seneca once wrote that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Think about that for a moment. A person can have millions in the bank and still live in poverty. Poverty of peace, poverty of contentment, because their desires are endless. Another person may have little, but live with calm satisfaction because they have mastered the art of wanting less. The Stoics remind us that peace is not about external possessions, but about inner perception. Success is seductive because it promises security. You believe that if you just earn more money, you'll never have to worry again. If you just win recognition, you'll never feel unworthy again. If you just reach the next milestone, you'll finally be complete. But the mind does not work this way. Success is never enough. The more you gain, the more you crave. The more you achieve, the more you fear losing it. Far from peace, success too often creates anxiety. The anxiety of protecting what you've built, the anxiety of keeping your place, the anxiety of proving yourself again and again. Marcus Aurelius, who held the highest position in the world as Emperor of Rome, knew this well. He could have drowned in power, wealth, and glory. And yet in his private journal, he reminded himself, very little is needed for a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. He saw clearly that peace does not come from the throne, from armies, or from gold. It comes from simplicity, clear thoughts, honest action, alignment with nature. Even as emperor, he lived with humility, slept simply, and reminded himself daily of how little was truly needed. Why does simplicity bring peace? Because it strips away the noise. Modern life is full of endless distractions, endless desires, endless comparisons. Every commercial, every social media post, every conversation is designed to make you want more, to make you feel like you are missing out. This constant hunger keeps your mind restless, always reaching, never resting. Simplicity breaks that cycle. When you no longer need constant upgrades, when you no longer measure yourself against others, when you learn to be satisfied with what is essential, your mind finally has space to breathe. Peace is not about adding, it is about subtracting unnecessary desires, subtracting endless comparisons, subtracting the weight of pretending to be someone you're not. When you strip away the excess, what is left is clarity, and in clarity, peace appears. But simplicity is not laziness, it is not withdrawal from life. The Stoics were active, engaged, and disciplined. They worked, they led, they fought, they wrote. But they were careful to distinguish between what was essential and what was distraction. Success in itself was not condemned. The Stoics did not say you cannot earn wealth or hold power. They said you should never tie your peace to those things. Use them if you have them, but do not depend on them. Enjoy them if fortune gives them, but be ready to let them go. That is the essence of simplicity. Freedom from dependency. Epictetus, who began life as a slave, taught this clearly. He said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Success lies mostly outside of our control. Simplicity lies within it. You cannot always control whether you win recognition, but you can always control whether you live within your means. You cannot control whether fortune raises you up or drags you down, but you can control whether your peace depends on fortune. The simple person is free no matter their circumstance. The one who craves success is a prisoner even in victory. Think of the times in your life when you were most at peace. Was it really in moments of grand success? Or was it in simpler moments, walking outside on a calm evening, laughing with someone you love, eating a meal without hurry, sitting quietly without noise? Peace often comes in the places we overlook, not in the achievements we glorify. And yet we keep running, keep chasing, keep exhausting ourselves in pursuit of more when the peace we crave has always been available in less. Success is unstable. Simplicity is steady. The market rises and falls. Fortune shifts. Trends come and go. What is praised today is forgotten tomorrow. If your peace is tied to these things, it will rise and fall with them. But simplicity does not depend on applause. It does not depend on recognition. It depends only on you, your choices, your habits, your mindset. And because of this, it endures. The Stoics trained themselves in simplicity through practice. They practiced voluntary discomfort, choosing at times to eat less, to wear rough clothing, to sleep on the ground, so they would remember that peace does not come from luxury. They practiced gratitude daily, reminding themselves of the blessings already present. They practiced mindfulness, being present with the task at hand instead of racing toward imagined futures. These small practices built a foundation of peace, one not shaken by loss or disappointment. Seneca advised, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This exercise was not meant to glorify poverty, but to free the mind from fear. If you can live simply and still find peace, you are no longer terrified of losing wealth or success. Simplicity gives you courage, because you realize that even without the trappings of success, you can live well. This lesson is more relevant now than ever. In a world obsessed with accumulation, simplicity is a radical act. To say, "I do not need more, I will be content with less," is to step outside the current of endless desire. And in that space, you discover calm. Your worth is no longer tied to what you own. Your value is no longer measured by followers or titles. Your peace is no longer hostage to outcomes. You become free, and freedom is peace. Of course, this is not easy. Simplicity requires discipline. It requires saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It requires stepping away when everyone else is running forward. It requires facing the fear that if you don't achieve more, you will not be enough. But the Stoics remind us that enoughness does not come from the outside. It comes from within. To the disciplined mind, simplicity is not deprivation, it is liberation. Imagine what your life would look like if you embraced simplicity. Imagine no longer chasing every opportunity out of fear of missing out. Imagine no longer comparing yourself endlessly to people who appear more successful. Imagine being satisfied with what you already have, while still striving to grow in virtue and strength. Imagine working hard, but not being enslaved by results. This is what the Stoics offer. Not an empty life, but a simpler one. Not a smaller life, but a freer one. And here lies the paradox. Simplicity often leads to greater success, because when you stop chasing everything, you focus on what truly matters. When you stop craving recognition, you produce work of greater integrity. When you stop exhausting yourself in pursuit of more, you preserve energy to build what lasts. By seeking peace instead of success, you often achieve more of both. But the peace comes first because it is rooted not in outcomes, but in choices. So how do you begin? Start by asking yourself, what in my life is unnecessary? What possessions, what desires, what comparisons, What habits are weighing me down without giving me peace? Then practice letting go, one step at a time. Simplify your environment, your schedule, your desires. Replace excess with presence. Replace noise with stillness. Replace chasing with building. Each small step toward simplicity is a step toward peace. And remember, simplicity is not a destination, but a practice. You will be tempted again and again by the promise of success. You will be told by society, by friends, by advertisements, that peace is waiting on the other side of more. Each time, return to the Stoic reminder: peace is here, in less, in now, in simplicity. Success may come and go, but peace is built, not bought. If you've listened this far, then you already feel the truth of this. You know that chasing success has not brought you the peace you imagined. You know that the constant reaching, striving, comparing has only left you tired. And you know that something simpler, something steadier, something quieter is calling you. That is simplicity. That is Stoic wisdom. So take the step today. Choose one way to simplify. Let go of one unnecessary desire. Be grateful for one simple thing. Find joy in one ordinary moment. Build peace not by running further, but by stopping, breathing, and being present with what you already have. And watch how your life begins to change. And if this message has resonated with you, I invite you to join this journey. Subscribe for more Stoic lessons, not as distant philosophy, but as daily practices for living with clarity, courage, and peace. Share in the comments one way you will simplify your life this week and how you expect it to bring you peace. Your words may inspire someone else to take their first step. And share this with a friend who has been chasing without resting. Remind them that peace does not wait in success, but in simplicity.